1380 KCIM Sports presents KCIM Sports Rewind. A look back at the week in high school sports. Brought to you by St. Anthony Rehab Services. Here's Sports Director Jeff Blankman, John Ryan, and Jeff Honnold.
Yes, Sports Director Jeff Blankman. Actually, Casey Miner's in the studio with us once again this week. Assistant Sports Director, I'm John Ryan. So much to get to today. I don't even know where to start. I mean, it's just like a little plethora. It's a little smorgasbord of whatever we want to talk about, I think.
Yeah, you even ask, and I'm like, I don't know. It's playoff time of the season for the high schools. You know, we've got Carol Merchant's news.
Yep. Get to that in a moment.
Yeah, and you also had Saturday afternoon evening of
shall we
football?
Start there? Please tell me we're going to start there. Casey, Hawkeye fan.
Yeah.
Couple days. Has it sunk in yet? What are your thoughts? A couple days after the call.
What I told Jeff on Sunday was that I hate to have a call like that come down to the officials. And we were talking before we came on that if Cooper would have went out at the 1, they wouldn't have been able to review it.
Because it wouldn't be a scoring play at that point.
And Iowa could have kicked a field goal and won the game. The one thing that I question is what they were going to review was to make sure that he stepped out of bounds, supposedly. So can you go there? Can you sit there? You must be able to sit there and say, well, it looks like he wanted to call a fair catch, but it didn't, so we're gonna push it back. Like that to me is the part that doesn't make sense, and maybe there's some gray line in that rule that this should probably be changed. I think when you're going to look at a scoring replay, you pretty much need to see like if he crosses the goal line or like in that instance you're looking to see if he steps out of bounds, and he clearly didn't. But then they saw something else. So does that justify you calling it back? That's my thing on it. But
yeah, that's the officials kind of determining the outcome. I totally see your point on that one. They did have a press conference yesterday with the Big Ten officials, and they said that is one of the reviewable plays. If it is a scoring play, if it's and all of that, you can look to see if he did call a fair catch, a valid or invalid. I didn't even know there was an invalid fair catch call or signal.
I didn't know that's what they called it. You know, I've seen it before where a guy's called for a fair catch, caught it, and then took off running, and they blow the whistle and they blow the play dead. I didn't know that they called that.
That's the rule. Is that you just blow the play dead right there.
Yep.
It's not a penalty.
Yeah,
but you just blow the play dead.
From what I understood, one of our area guys that played at the D1 level in football and was a punt returner did put out on Twitter that day. Yes, and a very, very good one. Did put out on Twitter that day that any kind of hand movement like that, it makes it where you can't advance the ball. So I know it doesn't get called all the time, probably because not all of the officials probably know the rule well enough because there are so many rules. But this was a guy that was a punt returner and really, really good, and he brought that up. He put it out on Twitter. Anytime you do any kind of movement with your hands, you're not allowed to be able to advance the ball. So that's why everybody's saying that by the rule of the law, they called it right. Now, you got to feel for Cooper, what a play, and you got to feel for Hawkeye fans. Now, me personally, I don't really care.
There's the honest truth right there.
Yeah, I smiled and celebrated. I will not deny.
I saw Cooper running for the end zone, and I was watching with some Hawkeye fans, because we had turned over to the game at that point, and I said, there's his Heisman moment right there as he was running towards the end zone. I'm like, there's just nobody better right now in the college football game than Cooper DeJean. Second of all, I'll say this, that, you're waving your left hand, telling everybody to get away from the football.
Right.
And it was a very quick gesture. So in real time, it didn't look like much. Slow motion, like you said, Casey, you see it. But you don't wave your blockers off going for a punt return you think you're going to return. At that point, I think Cooper DeJean's like, no, get away from it. We'll take the ball right there.
Right.
He saw the opportunity in a split moment, made that decision to take off with it, and, boy, made a phenomenal play. Yeah. You can't blame him for that. Yeah. But, the die had been cast. He had already made that quote-unquote invalid fair catch call.
And as you and I were saying, I said that I think when he returned the one here a couple of weeks ago for the touchdown or whatever, I'm like, kick it to a sideline. Don't give him any room. Now it's like, just don't even kick it to him at all. Kick it out of bounds. Kick it as far as you can. But he's the only guy on that team that can hurt you with the ball in his hands. Don't let him touch the football at all. ball.
How many things went wrong for the Hawkeyes? I mean, first of all, A, Minnesota, what are you doing? Yeah, you kick the ball out of bounds at that point. And then B, you tell your coverage team, tackle the guy. Don't just stand there while he picks it up.
The best part was when you slow it down and you pause the video, when Cooper picks it up, there's 6 Minnesota guys there, and somehow he creeps along the sidelines and comes out of that. To me, that's an amazing play.
It is. Yeah. And there's no way he should have gotten out of that. Minnesota was just horrible on their punt coverage.
But that's Cooper DeJean. We saw that in high school all the time.
Yeah, he makes unbelievable plays all the time. And second of all, the Iowa offense just absolutely terrible. And if you can't count on getting a few yards to set up that field goal, I mean, if you've got to have Cooper set up your offense basically in the middle of the field so you can kick a field goal, that's not good. And it's not. I mean, what kind of recruits are you going to get coming up for offensive linemen, receivers, quarterbacks, anybody on offense? They're not going to want to play in that system.
I don't think that I'm the only Iowa fan that says we need to see Cooper on offense too. I mean, you're seeing it now with Colorado's got a kid that plays both ways. Utah's got a kid that plays both ways.
Charles Woodson did it years ago.
With how stagnant Iowa's offense is, you've got to try something new. And Cooper was fantastic on both sides of the ball. Why not? You don't even have to throw it to him. Just
pitch it out to him, get him in space out there, let him go one-on-one.
Team,
It's crazy how they don't utilize that, and why not? I mean, if it sparks your offense, it sparks your offense. So, bye week this week for Iowa. Is Deacon Hill still the starting quarterback?
You know how Kirk is. That's all I'm going to say. He stuck with Petrus until Petrus got hurt.
Now Petrus ain't looking so bad.
Well, Petrus ain't going to come in and play. No way.
But all the grief that he took last year, wouldn't you love to have him back this year?
And I think me and Jeff talked about this a little bit on Sunday again when we were picking our kids for the Rewind team. I said, this is crazy because you bring in a kid like Cade McNamara that led Michigan to a college football playoff and a Big Ten champion. Granted, his numbers aren't going to jump out the door at you, but they weren't bad. And now he's struggling to complete over 50% of his passes when Iowa and Minnesota play a similar style of offense. And you get Deacon Hill, now Spencer Petrus, now Alex Padilla, all four of those guys struggle to throw the football.
Yeah.
Is it recruiting or is it somewhere in the coaching system that the quarterbacks aren't picking up the system and just that's kind of what I'm thinking.
I think it might be just a Big Ten West thing because if you look at every offense in the Big Ten West, there isn't one that's really good.
It's a race to the bottom.
It is. I mean, Nebraska's 4-3 only because their defense is been very, very good.
Do they not look at the Big Ten East and go, we got to compete with those guys? But all they're doing is competing with each other, and it's doing nothing but dragging the quality of football down. Aside from the defensive side from Iowa, which is outstanding. They're national championship caliber.
Yeah, it's amazing that you look at last year for the Pac-12. It's probably the best year that conference has had in 20 years, and now the last year for the Big Ten West, and it's probably the most putrid football that we've ever seen out of Big Ten football. I mean, that division's not real good. It's just not real good.
If Iowa wants to stay Iowa, the 4 teams that are coming into the Big Ten next year, they need to make changes.
Yeah, they need an offense. They need something different for offensive philosophy.
Keep it the same.
Says the big red fan over there. All right, so I got a trivia question for you this week. We're going to talk NFL action since I was up late last night watching my Vikings. We'll stick with the NFL here. Detroit Lions, they've been great this year.
Until Sunday.
They got pasted by the Ravens.
Yep.
They're 5-2 right now, sitting on top of the Central Division. They have the third longest playoff drought in the NFL. 6 seasons since they've made the playoffs.
Okay.
Who are the 2 other teams that are ahead of them? We'll get that answer coming up later on this half hour. So, who are the 2 teams that have longer playoff droughts than the Detroit Lions? So, there you have it. Okay. Now, we're going to move to a little baseball news, actually. Heard from Chris Whitaker this morning. He sent off an email, a press release from the Mink League. They announced their Players of the Year. And congratulations, Mink League Player of the Year, offensive player, Michael Alt from the Merchants, batted .428, had a .505 on-base percentage. Just a phenomenal player. 42 of the 45 games he played in, led the league in hits, third in runs, had 18 stolen bases. Just a phenomenal player.
Yeah, what a year. And he was a fun guy to watch. You just knew when he stepped into that left-handed batter's box that he was going to somehow find his way on base, and then he was going to do damage when he got on there, and then special defensively as well. But, yeah, fun. Congratulations. Well-deserved for him.
Yeah, definitely. 210 plate appearances, just 9 strikeouts.
Tony Gwynn.
You just don't see that anymore.
Like, you don't. No, everybody's trying to hit for power, and he's like, I can beat you by getting on base.
Yeah, swing hard and swing for the fences, and who cares if you strike out 20 times? You know? So Michael Alt, congratulations him, and boy, it tells you what kind of just players the Merchants are focused in on bringing in.
Yeah.
So outstanding stuff there. All right, let's talk a little volleyball playoffs. What do you got for us? I mean, that's fresh in you guys' mind last night. Kemper, South Central Calhoun met up, and then Glidden Ralston. Only one team, however, advancing.
Yeah, well, we knew that the most we could get was 2, with Kemper having to play South Central Calhoun last night in a very good first match. But Kemper serve it seemed to wear on the Titans last night. They struggled in serve receive. They were out of system. Even though, it was a 25-20 Kemper win in the first set, my unofficial stats had Kemper with 14 kills and South Central Calhoun with 5. They ended the night with 12. They just weren't getting a lot of swings. They were having to send a lot of stuff over that was soft or free balls, and you can't do that against a Kemper team that's got 5 really good hitters at the net. And the Knights were able to take advantage of that and kind of pulled away about mid part of. They used a 7-0 run somewhat early, but in set 2 to kind of run away in set 2, and then set 3 just did not go well for the Titans, and that one kind of got ugly quickly. And terrific season for them. I thought Emma Schleichman's done a wonderful job in her first year. I think the future for that program is really bright. They're going to graduate a couple of good seniors off of that team, but the vast majority of that team was underclassmen, and I think the future looks really good for them. And I have a feeling there's some competitive kids in that group, and they're going to let this loss kind of, in the way it ended for them, it's going to kind of burn. And I think that will push them to put in the time in the offseason to make next year even more special. But Kemper's good. They've got that chance to go on now to state. They've got to get through a good Ridgeview team that swept through West Monona last night. They're loaded with hitters. What I've liked, though, is here in these 2 postseason games I've seen, their back row is starting to play really well. It's good back row. It's been talented. Kaylee Simons, I had one of the elite coaches that I know in the game was there last night, and she's retired right now, but hopefully going to get back into it soon. But she made the comment last night. We were chatting afterwards, and she's like, Kaylee just makes everything look routine. It doesn't matter how hard it is. She makes every play look easy and stuff. And, their serve receive was really good last night. If they can serve receive like this and the way they hit, they're going to be a tough team to get past.
Now, talk about how this team stacks up with previous Kemper teams that we've seen go to the state tournament.
I think they're as good as some of the ones that, now those teams that had, the Peter sisters and Amy Adams and Macy Overmole and Grace Moloch and that one state and everything, they might have been a little bit of a different level. But this team right there comparable with all of the other teams that have went down to state. I think they get down there, they'll have a chance to make a run. Just can't go down there. Honestly, you don't want to go down as the 7 or 8 seed. Hinton and Dyke New Hartford, you don't want to see either one of those in the first round. I think if you can get through that first round, I think you got a chance. I mean, and I'm not saying that those teams are unbeatable, but it seems like those 2 teams in the first round are probably the 2 teams you want to stay away from in the first round.
And I think Kaylee Simon's something to mention. You just mentioned over 1,000 digs already as a sophomore.
Yep. Yeah,
wow.
and yeah, she's special. Knew it when I coached club years ago with Honnold. She came in as like a 6th grader, and she was practicing with the varsity kids.
Despite your coaching, she turned out to be pretty good.
Well,
player.
I'm not taking any credit. She was really good when she came in. I'm just saying that I saw her as a 6th grader playing with our varsity kids, and Keith Stickrod would be in there hitting balls at her as hard as he could, and she'd just stand there and pop them right up into the air. So she's always had that ability to be special, and she's turned into exactly what we kind of thought just in seeing her, what she would turn out to be.
And no disrespect, Ridgeview has a great team this year,
yes.
But I just don't think they're on the level of Kemper. Right?
Kemper's already beat them this year?
Yep, beat them once. I know Ridgeview did get a set from them, so it's not going to be easy. Ridgeview's got some really good hitters as well, but the Knights get a lot of touches, a lot of blocks at their net. Their defense has been solid. They're going to have a good night. They're going to have to play well. Can't go over there and not play well to be able to beat Ridgeview, but this is is a really good team. It's a state-worthy team.
And it seems like Kemper's playing their best volleyball right now at the right time.
Yes, absolutely. So, and Glidden almost last night almost got that first set, and I think if they would have, it might have been a different match.
It might have been a little bit of a different match. I think the girls were just tired because halfway through the second set, you're seeing them with hands on their hips, and Ridgeview was rotating in 3 or 4 girls, so they were fresh all night, ready to go. And Coach Bunt talked about in the post-game show that they knew that they were going to struggle with the River Valley's blocks, because they're a taller team, and they did that. You know, a lot of their kill attempts, you know, were blocked at the net, and it was hit right back over to Glidden. So now they're struggling to get their offense going again, and then it was blocked at the net again. So then you're scrambling to get your offense going because girls are out of place. And I think if they would have got that first set, it would have bode a lot better for them, but you just fall in that first set. And I think the first set's so important. You know, how many times when you lose that first set do you come back and win? I mean, granted, Glidden was able to do it when they beat Booyer Valley, but
Yeah, and the thing I noticed was River Valley when I did their matchup with Arweva last week is that they don't always run a quick offense, but when they do, their outside hitter, and I forget her
Addie
name.
Law. She's something special.
Yep, she's good, and she's really good at running that quick, and that was the one thing that I thought could give Glidden Ralston some trouble was maybe the pace that River Valley played at, and I think that might have been a little bit of an advantage for them.
And I don't know if it was quite the pace. I think at times they went fast, and it kind of caught Glidden off guard, but Glidden's been so good defensively, you know, when the ball has come back their way, that I think they just struggled when it was blocked at the net to get their offense going again, because, you know, you had girls, you know, running up to attempt the block, then all of a sudden they got to run back and you got to reset your offense. Doing that 2-3 times in a row, I think, really wears on them, and I think River Valley did a really good job of realizing that Glidden, I think, was getting a little tired and a little fatigued there towards the middle part of the game. And
did Glidden stay aggressive? Because sometimes you'll see it in volleyball where a lot of times if you're getting blocked or you're getting your ball touched a lot, that kids will become safe and they'll take something off of it and try and roll shot it or push or, you know, or send over the free balls. Did they stay aggressive last night?
A little bit of both. I think at times, you know, when you saw River Valley block that like third shot in a row, that they would just kind of push it over, try to get it into the back row so that girls could get reset where they needed to go. But they really fed Holzing, Cassidy Wink a lot, and as well as Summer Toms on the outside. And I think all three of them stayed aggressive, and that's something you want to see, you know, as the game wears on and you're getting more tired. And
yeah, just got to use those hands when they're up there. Yeah, got to stay aggressive.
South Central Calhoun bows out. Glidden Ralston bows out. What's the future have for them? They got a lot of players coming back, or were they senior heavy?
Both of them have a lot of players coming back. I know both of them are going to graduate some really good seniors. Molly Monahan certainly going to be missed up at South Central Calhoun, but you know, I think the future for both of those programs, Casey, I would feel really good if I'm both of them.
Yeah, it's for South Central Calhoun. Like you said, you lose Molly Monahan. Glidden, you lose two really good back row players.
Yep.
And that's going to hurt. You also lose an all-conference setter, Addie Bell.
Yep.
But they had Amelia Garrett rotating in last night as well, so I think her getting valuable time as the season went on is going to be good for Glidden Ralston. But you return, you know, Cassidy Wink, Lauren Holzing, you know,
Ashlyn Tigges. Yeah.
Wink's going to. Wink last night looked like a completely different player than what I saw early in the year when I saw them against Coon Rapids Baird and Peyton Jourdan. She was aggressive at the net, and I think her playing behind Lauren Holzing's helping a lot, because they were both, you could see similarities when they were going up and attacking the net, how they were able to rise high and, you know, time that perfectly when the ball was coming down and hit it right over.
Yeah, really good athlete Cassidy is, and that'll be the thing that'll have to carry them. But yeah, they're, you know, you lose Tyla out of the back row, Summer Toms, and as you mentioned, Addie Bell is the setter, and I know Addie kind of had messed up the angle a little bit, you know, and stuff. So hopefully she was okay with that. That might have been part of the reason you saw Amelia Garrett kind of working into the lineup a little bit last night. So
Kemper needs one more win to get to the state tournament. That's through Ridgeview. Round out the field for 2A. What's it looking like? Where would Kemper stack up among the high-ranked teams?
Right now, they're sitting sixth. I think everybody in front of them is still ahead of them. You know, like I said, I think beyond maybe Hinton and probably Dyke New Hartford, and I put Dyke as the favorite. You know, they should be playing for a fourth straight state championship probably this year, but got beat in the finals last year in a match they should have never lost and stuff. But I would say that, you know, everybody else that could be in the field is certainly beatable, and that's why I say if you can not get where you're the 7 or the 8 seed and have to play one of them two in the first round, you get through that first round and anything can happen, you know, down there and stuff. So, but Yeah, I would say it looks like Hinton, Dike, New Hartford are the two favorites. That's according to everybody you talk to, is those two are the two favorites. And then you kind of got everybody else is kind of all pretty even with each other.
Now, Kemper plays tomorrow night.
They'll play tomorrow night over at Denison again. We'll have that game on 93.7 KCRL. I'll have the coverage for everybody and stuff. And, yeah, looking forward to it. Should be good. I mean, I saw them play Ridgeview earlier this year up at the South Central Calhoun Tournament. Ridgeview's, like I said, it's got some really good hitters. From what I understand, they've lost their libero to a knee injury, so we'll see how that impacts when you have a team that can just hit at you with so many different hitters is what Kemper can do.
All right, so best of luck to the Kemper Knights coming up again tomorrow night. We're going to talk a little football playoffs. We'll do that coming up here in a few minutes. First of all, I want to announce the sack of the game. It's brought to you by Market on 30.
Good morning, all student-athlete parents. Don't let your hectic schedules keep you from feeding your family. The Market on 30 can help you with quick and easy options like Pasquale's Pizzas, our famous mac and cheese, chicken strips, and much more. The Market on 30 in the BP Plaza.
And once again, our sack of the game winner this week is Michelle Sherbrun of Carroll. Congratulations, Michelle. You got yourself that free sack of groceries from Market on 30. And if you want to win next week, of course, get to Market on 30 and get yourself signed up. More KCIM Sports Rewind after this.
As the athletes at your house prepare for hard work and fun of the season, remember that St. Anthony Rehab Services provides physical therapy for any sports injury that may sideline your member of the team. Sports injuries can plague kids of all ages and keep them from playing the sport they love. Athletes will be under the direct supervision of a certified and licensed healthcare professional in the newly renovated sports performance facility. If an injury is keeping your athlete out of the game, call St. Anthony Rehabilitation Services at 794-5000 for sports injury and treatment rehab.
Cue the house band, Bad Authority. We're back with KCIM Sports Rewind, brought to you exclusively by St. Anthony Rehab Services. And if you want the best in training, man, give them a call. They have got an 8-week workout program that will get you where you want to be. So call the great folks at St. Anthony Rehabilitation Services. Let's talk a little football playoffs. We had, 5-6 teams?
6 teams on
entering play last Friday night, but unfortunately only 2 making them through. And we kind of saw that, with Kemper was a heavy favorite. Audubon, you felt very good about their chances. Everybody else struggled a bit on Friday.
Yeah, I think the one that was the real surprise was the Glidden-Ralston-Exira game. Not that I think anybody's surprised that Exira won. We knew it was going to be a good matchup, but that Exira seemed to handle that game and be out in front and be kind of in control. Now, I do understand from Nick that, as Nick Brinks called it for us, that Glidden had some opportunities, got across midfield. I know they got into the red zone a couple of times and weren't able to score, and I think that kind of turned out to be the difference. You never know.
They ran the Vikings
happen.
Game plan, huh?
Yes, but what a season for Glidden this year. They were really, really good, and you can just see that program under Craig continuing to kind of move forward. Heartbreaker for South Central Calhoun, couple of drop touchdown passes, and you lose by 6 in overtime over at Loma. That was a crushing way for them guys to have their season come to an end. I think it sounds like they did a pretty good job of kind of containing the Loma run game, a little bit, and played well enough. But that's kind of was South Central's season this year a little bit. It just seemed like every now and then they would kind of make not make the plays where we're so used to them normally making those plays.
Yeah, so they bow out of the playoffs. IKM Manning as well, also bowing out.
Yeah, they ran into a buzzsaw over at Madrid. I thought that they had a chance to have a really good game, and things just got ugly for them right away. I think down 28-6 at the end of the first quarter. Some turnovers early, and I think a blocked punt or something, and Madrid kind of pounded on them right away and got up big, and then there was no looking back. And kind of the same thing for East Sac County. We knew that going down to Underwood was not going to be easy, Casey, and things kind of went south for ESAC right away.
Yeah, and it wasn't going to be easy, like you said. They come in Underwood 1 or 2,
ranked number 2.
Yeah, their seeding, and I think you saw them when we saw them play Kemper. We knew that Underwood was going to be a tough test for ESAC, but the ESAC defense has played really well. There was like a combined 10 turnovers in that game or something like that.
Yeah. ESAC turned it over 6 times, and Underwood turned it over 4 times.
Wow.
So not the prettiest probably game unless you like defenses that create turnovers and stuff. So I'd have probably been okay to to watch that because I like defensive football. So, maybe not Iowa style of defensive football, but I do like defensive football.
Yeah. Somewhat.
Yes.
And what else stands out for you in that opening round?
Kemper struggling early. You called their game. I don't know if it was jitters or what it was, but it just didn't come out and play the way we expected them to play early.
I don't think it was quite the environment they expected. It wasn't quite, even though it was a home game, I don't think it was quite like a home game.
It probably felt like more like a road game.
Talking to Steinkamp after the game, he said, they didn't have any pregame music warm up. He just said when they were out there warming up, something felt off. And then, you go into half up one. I'm sure Steinkamp, talked to the guys about, you come out and play better in the second half. And what does Carson Canny do? He takes the opening kickoff back for a touchdown, and Kemper rolls the second half. So
yeah. And they're going to have a good matchup. They'll know Clarinda. I think they've got to be heavy favorites to win this one. Clarinda, I know, runs the football pretty well, but in looking at their schedule, haven't really beaten anybody that's a real solid team. So I think Kemper certainly has to have the advantage there, and with the number of athletes they throw out there.
Kemper's handled Clarinda in the past. Is it that same kind of like the Harlan-esque kind of thing? Like the big string was, can you get past Harlan? Can you get past Harlan? Is Clarinda sitting there thinking, can we get past Kemper?
Right. Yeah. And you kind of wonder on that. You wonder if there's going to be that mentality for Clarinda coming in, or means they've had success. They're 7-2 coming into the game. Yeah. Are they going to come in confident that they can come in and get a win? But if you look at their schedule, their two big games, they dropped both of them this year, and neither one was overly competitive. So that'll be the interesting thing for me to be able to see there. And then, I know Kemper's got to be a little disappointed that a win they advance, but more than likely they'll have to play the number one ranked team because they did get Central Lyon in their pod. So they need to, they're going to have to play really well, and more than likely that game will be up at Rock Rapids is what I'm guessing.
Yeah, and do not overlook Clarinda on
right.
Friday.
Yeah, can't look past Clarinda first. And stuff. And then for Audubon, they get Lennox on Friday night. Wheelers played well Friday night against Booyer Valley. I think got a good defensive effort and did a nice job offensively. Kind of jumped out quickly, and then just kind of held that lead and kind of maintained it throughout the rest of the game. But they'll have to get their run game going against Lennox, and then they look like if they advance, it looks like they'll potentially have Bedford and might get to host that game coming up on the final Friday. So
I think talking to Coach Burks, he likes their chances against Lennox, a team they don't see very often. He likes their chances against Bedford if they get a host too. So
yeah, and two really good teams, but not teams that have played them a lot. I know in talking with Coach Cam and Remsen were teams that, not that I don't feel like they could beat them, but they were kind of hoping to stay away from them just because they've met up so many times. They know each other so well that those teams have kind of figured out how to defend Audubon just a little bit. So.
It's funny because Audubon, when they made it to the Dome, they've dominated during the season.
Yes.
And this year, they've had their little bit of ups and downs throughout the season. They played well, no doubt about that, and they deserve to be where they're at. But it's been a little bit of a different season for Audubon.
Yeah, it has. And I think what a lot of people reflect back on was probably that loss to Cam Anita in the opener, and then we found out that Cam kind of stayed at number one for a good portion of the year before Winfield Mount Union jumped over them. But, I think this is a really good Audubon team, as Casey said yesterday. Not many teams have the 1-2 punch, with quarterback and running back that can hurt you offensively like those guys do.
And Aaron Olson and Evan Alt, they're tremendous. I think you look at the passing stats for Aaron Olson, you're like, well, they can't throw the football, but you don't have to worry about that when you can hand it off to Evan Alt, and then the team worries about him. Then all of a sudden, Aaron Olson takes it for a 50-yard touchdown. You're like, oh yeah, that's right. The quarterback ran for over 1,000 yards too. So yeah, when you have a 1-2 punch like that, I think talking to Coach Burks throughout the year, he goes, teams might force us to throw the football, but I'm fine with just giving it to Aaron and Evan because I know that they will eventually rip big plays, and they complement just the way they play football together. Aaron and Evan just. Like I said, they were probably one of the greater 1-2 punches that is in the state.
Yeah.
And Iowa should take a little note of Cooper DeJean maybe doing that on offense a little bit, huh? Yeah. I think you just described that whole scenario perfectly. All right, so KCIM Sports Rewind All-Star festivities are coming up November 4th.
Yeah, Saturday, November the 4th. Again, a free event as we're going to be honoring all of the top volleyball and football players from the 10 schools that we cover. We announced the list. You can find all of the kids and coaches that are invited to participate for both volleyball and football on the website at sports.1380kcim.com. But again, we'll have a senior volleyball girls all-star game. We'll have a senior boys football player volleyball all-star game. And last year we had a passing competition for the football boys. Austin Stolk built us this really cool thing where you can throw it through different holes and score different points. The girls last year said they thought it looked fun, so we're going to let them do that this year. So we're going to have kind of a throwing competition for all of the kids invited, and then of course the award ceremony. So
everybody wants to play the other sports.
Yes, 1 o'clock to start coming up again Saturday, November the 4th. So.
Don't want to leave out cross country, by the way.
No, actually, absolutely. And that comes up this weekend. Everything gets underway Friday. I'll just run through the list. Class 1A girls are at 2 o'clock on Friday. Yes. You've got Chloe Judish of South Central Calhoun, Reagan Garrison of IK Manning, and Taylor Beckendorf of IK Manning all running at 2 o'clock Friday. Lane Sams from IK Manning then runs in the boys portion of it at 2:45 on Friday afternoon. Then Saturday you'll have the entire boys team from Esac County in Class 2A at 11:15 Saturday morning, along with Reg Potts of South Central Calhoun. Then you get into the Kemper runners in the afternoon. You'll have Marie Day from Kemper at 2 o'clock, and Jacob Graving and Ryan North from Kemper both coming up at 2:45 on Saturday afternoon. And I tell you what, the weather does not look good. I know they're talking freezing mix and
40 degrees.
Yeah, going to be miserable for the runners and for poor Casey and myself. We'll both be up there Friday, and then he's got to go up on Saturday. So,
well, Friday's not horrid. Okay. It's 48 and windy, but it gets down to 28 Friday night. So by the time you roll around Saturday morning, it's going to be chilly.
It's going to be chilly. I've been up there for some miserable days in the past. But, I'm going over to the Nebraska game on Saturday, so I'm supposed to be able to catch up with Blaze Gunnarsson. So hopefully we'll have a little bit of audio maybe from him coming up next week as well.
All right, before we get out of here, we're going to do the trivia question. The Lions off to an impressive 5-2 start. They have the third longest playoff drought in the NFL, currently active. Which two teams have longer droughts?
Are the Jets one of them?
The Jets, yes. The Jets are one of them. That was 12 seasons the Jets have not made the playoffs.
Really? Okay.
Jets fans, players, I know that.
Yeah, I was going to say not the Chargers, the Commanders.
Nope, not the Commanders.
Okay. Commanders made it like 4
It's an AFC team.
AFC team. Okay. Jacksonville?
Nope.
Atlanta?
Nope.
Oh, no, they're in NFC.
They were in the Super Bowl just a couple of years ago,
Houston?
Nope, not Houston. The Denver Broncos.
Really?
There you go. Yes, the Denver Broncos.
Made the playoffs
since Peyton Manning won them the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
How many years ago was it?
7 seasons ago
that was
when the last time they made the playoffs. And they make that trade for Russell Wilson, and boy, has that just absolutely flopped.
Yeah. He hasn't played horrible this year from what I've gathered. Hasn't played good, but he hasn't played horrible, but just they don't have a whole lot.
Yeah, he went from Seattle to being a very good quarterback to all of a sudden being what's going on here in Denver.
Seattle knew something. They knew that he was past his prime.
All right, so there's KCIM Sports Rewind again coming up. Volleyball tomorrow night, football on Friday night, cross country Friday and Saturday. Enjoy all the matchups in the playoffs.
Western Iowa's news.